We've been exploring the sublime paradox of having arrived and perpetually becoming. But a very important question was asked the other day, and that question was, why do we need to know? So there are several stories that might help us to answer that question. The first is that story about the king who had amongst his many advisors a spiritual counselor. Now the king learned that his spiritual counselor was practicing a very much more advanced meditation than he. So he confronted his spiritual counselor and demanded that he be taught the same level of meditation as that which the counselor was practicing. And the counselor advised the king, one has to have the proper authority. The king said, what do you mean? I've been practicing meditation for decades and I'm the king of this great realm. And so the spiritual counselor said, let me demonstrate to you. And as it happened, they were in the throne room of the king. And the counselor said to the king, call your sentry over here. So when the sentry was called, the spiritual counselor turned to the sentry and said to him, slap your king's face. And the sentry immediately put his hands down by his sides and had a look of determination on his face, did not respond. And then the counselor said to the king, now tell this sentry to slap my face. And immediately the sentry turned around and gave the spiritual counselor a good whack across the chops. Well, the counselor said, you see, because you are king of this realm and have the proper authority, you are obeyed. But because I do not have that authority, I was not obeyed. It's the same in the spiritual realms. You must have the proper authority. Then the second story is that story of the Sufi sheikh, teacher and master, who had many followers for many, many years. And one day, one of those followers said to him, teacher, master, will you tell us what position the teacher and master has in the world? How does the world relate? And the sheikh responded by saying, the teacher is within existence, but works outside of existence. The world might shun him, but the world has to serve him. Let me tell you a story. He said there was a young man who wanted to serve mankind. His desire was of the highest order because he did not want any recognition, kudos, for himself. But one night he had a dream, and in that dream he was told that if he served mankind at this time, all he would do would be to turn the world against him, and that would increase their cruelty and their ignorance. It had to be at the right time. But in the meantime, you can tell people that you have a secret that cannot be told. So the next morning, when the young man awoke, he told his mother and father about this dream. But when they demanded of him that he tell them the secret, he refused to do so. They again and again demanded of him. And after a while, when he continually refused to divulge the secret, they grew tired of him. So when he said that he was going to leave home to wander in the world, they put up no resistance and allowed him to go. When he was out in the world, he found himself a position with a certain stall holder serving. But when he mentioned to the owner of the stall that he had a secret that could not be told, and when the stall owner demanded of him that he be told his secret, and the young man refused, the stall owner got very angry and kicked him out. But it so happened that a passing travelling merchant saw the young man's fate and took him into his employ. So the young man travelled with the merchant, and they found themselves in the capital city of that kingdom. Now the young man also told his boss, the merchant, that he had a secret that cannot be told. And again, the merchant demanded of him again and again. And when the young man refused, the merchant also got very angry and kicked him out into the street. Now it so happened that the king of that realm was on his deathbed, and having called his many advisers around him, he was given advice as to how the next king would be chosen. So he sent out messengers into the street. Now as it so happened, at the very moment that the young man was ousted from the merchant's presence into the street, he said, "I have a secret that cannot be told until the right time." And this was just at the moment when the king's messenger was passing. And these were the very words that he was advised had to be told. So the messenger immediately took the young man and led him back to the palace and to the dying king's bedside. Now the king asked the young man, "Are you willing to take over this kingdom?" And the young man responded, "Yes, because it is the right time, because it has been said that it will be time for me to begin my work in the world when I am told. What is it that the young man was told? How would you finish this story? What is it that happens for us when the time is right and ripe? That this secret can be revealed. I was told, as the young man said, that I can begin my work in the world when? What is it that occurs for us when we acknowledge, yes, I have arrived? And as the Sufi Sheikh said, the Master is within the world, but works outside of existence. Existence might shun him, but existence must work for him. What is this place that we arrive at, where we've arrived and yet perpetually becoming, or translated, beginning our work in the world at the right time? How would you finish this story? What did the young man say to the king? It is the right time because thank you.